Hi, I'm Max Lawrence and I'm an ADHD business coach. I work with lots of ADHD entrepreneurs and I'm also an ADHDer. And I was diagnosed 3 years ago and super happy to be finally diagnosed to understand what was going on. And I've been on stimulant medication since the day after my diagnosis. Stimulant medication has been life-changing, amazing. And today is day one of me giving up stimulant medication. So I thought, as I'm going to do this, I will share what happens for me over this period of time of my adaptation to going back to being a fully ADHD brain. So this is the first video, first day, day one, and I'm planning to just share very openly from the point of view of an ADHDer with the insights that I have as somebody who works with ADHDers every day and who coaches people through different aspects, all different aspects of ADHD, including all of the emotional dysregulation and everything that goes with that, to their business and how their business or professional lives are being affected by ADHD, relationships, addiction, which I have a background with. I've never hidden my addictive past from my clients because for many of them it's really helpful to be able to identify with somebody and to feel normalized in that area and in all areas. Anyway, this is day one. I have been on Elvanse, or Vyvanse as it's called in America, for the last year. I've been on different stimulant medications before that, but today is day one and I'm going from 70 milligrams per day, that's 40 milligrams in the morning and 30 milligrams around lunchtime, down to, well, today I've taken 20 milligrams this morning, so half of what I would normally take, and another 20 milligrams at lunchtime. So I've dropped from 70 down to 40, and this morning has been, because I've been through this before, the hard crash of cold turkeying out of stimulant medication, and what that has done to me has sent me to sleep basically for about 20 hours a day. It's a total shock to the system and quite horrific, really, very, very depressing, and you turn into a zombie. And so I'll talk more later down the line, probably not today, about what's led up to this decision of mine to completely stop taking ADHD medication. But I've decided to do it because I haven't run out of medication. Voluntarily weaning myself off over a few days because I'd really like to skip that horrific, nasty crash that happens when you've been taking amphetamines and you stop taking them suddenly. It's a real shock to the body. As I said, I've been through that a couple of times, and I'm going to talk about that at another time, but this is just day one, me making my own move voluntarily to finally stop using this stimulant medication, which I have really benefited from, but at the same time, well, that's what's going to come out through these videos, is yes, it's been incredibly beneficial to me. I've felt like my ADHD has been removed from me to a degree, or in many ways, but despite all of that positivity, there have been problems especially during the last 12 months. So the first 2 years were problem free, really. And I'm going to be talking about medication abuse, overusing it, building tolerance, and how all of that happened for me, how it happened very subtly to the point where I was in denial of anything happening. I just wasn't aware. And then through different stages where I was aware and where I was dishonest with myself and those around me. I was dishonest with my doctor, but you know, I got back on track. But anyway, the story's gonna end up with what happened to me in the last 3 days. I don't feel like I can really tell that story right now, but it's definitely gonna be told. I'm definitely gonna be telling it. I'm gonna hold back a little bit until I actually really feel like I want to tell it. But let's just say I ended up in the hospital a couple of days ago, and in a really bad state. I'm 48 years old. I'm married. I have 2 wonderful children and a beautiful, wonderful wife who I love more than anything on the planet. Obviously, I love my parents and my sister and some of my closest friends. But we have these 2 wonderful boys, and they are part of this because they've seen me unwell with ADHD medication, either from having had too much of it, not enough of it, and I'm done with that. My motivation here today in taking this decision to stop medicating myself for my ADHD, despite all the benefits that it's had, is ultimately because I want to be around to be their dad, and I want to be the best dad I possibly can. And having lived 44 years of my life unaware of having ADHD, today I choose to believe that I can go back in time to being an ADHDer without the treatment and do better on the whole. Maybe I'm going to struggle. This is what we're going to find out together. And so I think I have the vocabulary to be able to express to you guys out there, to anybody who's interested, because I work as an ADHD business coach, and I'm dealing with ADHDers all the time and dealing with all these ADHD problems. I hope I'll have the ability to express really openly and clearly and vividly, so that people can identify or not. And I'd like my experience of doing what I thought I would never do since having been diagnosed and having discovered this miracle medication. I am now choosing to do it, and I just think that, well, hopefully it's going to help me as well to feel like my experience will help other people. So I'm not feeling wonderful today. I'm not my bouncy self, but hopefully you'll see that reappear in me as the days progress. And if you're interested in watching these videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them available. All you've got to do is go to ADHD Max, that's ADHDMAX.com, and you'll be able to just sign up there, get instant access to all of the videos as they come out. I'm just going to post them there, and yeah, I hope that this is of interest to ADHDers who are medicated, unmedicated, maybe are struggling with medication in different ways, because I'm going to talk about all the really positive sides that I've had on medication over the last 3 years. And I'm also going to be really honest about the negative sides and how they've affected me. I just think I've learned a lot through this journey, this 3-year journey. And as I'm choosing to end it, I feel like I want to make sure that I make it available to others. So you may be struggling with medication, or you may be loving it, you may be addicted to it, you may feel you can go without it. Whatever you feel today, what I've learned is that it evolves, it changes, and I've been through all sorts of different stages of mental state around the use of stimulant medication. I have as I said, I have a background of addiction in my 20s. I was running 2 very successful businesses, and I became, well, everybody saw it as I became addicted to alcohol and cocaine. What I realized when I discovered my ADHD 3 years ago was that I'd been self-medicating. I'd been using those substances to boost dopamine in my brain, and of course they were both very destructive because of all the consequences. I nearly died 4 or 5 times through my own self-medicating my ADHD. I was very extreme. I didn't do anything by half measures. There was no grey area. I was either black or white, never in the middle. I didn't know how to do things in moderation. Not just substances, but behavior. Let's just say I've been, I was a colourful character. And yeah, anyway, there'll be lots more about that. I've decided that I'm going to share all of that as well, because this all links together. ADHD is centered around this lack of dopamine, available dopamine in our brains, and all these substances of abuse, substances which people can become addicted to, including food, sex, gambling, porn. Those are behaviors, a lot of those. So you've got substances and you've got behaviors which we become addicted to. And I've experienced various issues around that stuff. And it just it seemed crazy to me when I realized that I had this ADHD and that there was a treatment, that the treatment was going to be stimulants, amphetamines, very similar in the way they act to cocaine, or, well, amphetamines are speed. These are drugs of recreation. They had been my drugs of recreation. And then I found myself being prescribed the same drugs of recreation by a doctor, a very good doctor, actually. And I'll talk about the amazing experience I had with him. I was very lucky to have an incredibly wonderful ADHD psychiatrist who diagnosed me and treated me for 2 years until he wouldn't treat me anymore because I started getting in a mess. Anyway, today I'm feeling slow. I'm not bouncy as I would be on my regular dose of ADHD medication. I'm in a dark feeling place, better than other times, because this time I've decided to pull the plug on the meds, which I have fought tooth and nail to hold on to for the last year. And maybe there's a bit of defiance in me. Maybe I don't want to be told that I really should stop them. I've preempted all of that because I wanted I want to feel in control. I want to be back in control, and I think that this is the best way for me to get back. It doesn't sound appealing to me, getting rid of the meds which I have thrived on much of the time. I have anxieties, especially about RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, which I didn't even know I suffered from until maybe a year ago, just over a year ago. And I'd been coaching ADHDers through their RSD, their rejection sensitive dysphoria, which is something that not every ADHD seems to know about, but it's very prevalent once we get down to what's going on for people. A very high percentage of adult ADHDers, especially those who are diagnosed in adulthood as opposed to diagnosed in childhood, we seem to pretty much all have issues around rejection. And that for me has been a very big issue. And I think it's the part that I'm most terrified about being without medication for, because it's so disruptive in my mind, in my life, when I feel, when I perceive rejection, whether it's really there or it's me imagining it, the feelings it brings up are excruciating, and I certainly haven't mastered the way through that yet. So that's a part of the adventure where I don't know how this is going to go. Maybe I'll find new things along the way. Maybe one of you will share something to me that will be really useful, and I'll be very grateful. But anyway, this is day one. I will have basically dropped from 70 to 40 in a day. I know I'm going to be tired, but I'm opting for that gentler route down than the crash, and I hope that that's going to give me the ability to stay calm, not panic. By the way, I have a background of anxiety, OCD, and panic disorder. So those are all things that were helped by being on stimulant medication. I also take SSRIs and have done all the way through since well before, 15 years before being diagnosed with ADHD. I'm still on those. That's something else to be examined, I guess, and I'll see it as I go along. But it's great to have you here. If you've watched this much, it's way too long a video. I know I've rambled. I've done the ADHD thing, and I'm pretty much deciding that these videos are going to be up to 5 minutes each. This is the first one. I see that it's much longer, but I'm gonna make sure that they're shorter. I'm gonna try and condense myself. Probably not an easy thing to do without the meds at the beginning, but well, we'll see how it goes. And if you have any interest in following this, then please feel free to go to adhdmax.com, and there you'll be able to access the rest of all these videos. Look forward to seeing you.